Welcome back, everybody, to the Insightful Podcast. And today I'm very excited because I got a good friend of mine, Marin. Marin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Anthony. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So me and Marin have been friends for a while now. How long has it been?
Say going on 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, amazing. Ever since the Superstore days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far we've come.
How far we've come. But today, guys, we're going to be discussing university because Marin just finished up university. So he's going to give everyone some insight on how the university life was.
Absolutely.
For sure. So let's get straight into this thing. So, Marin, how has university shaped you into the person you are today?
I think, well, it's a tough question, but I think I've come out of university very different from how I entered into it. I think as for shaping into the way I handle the world, like self-awareness is a big thing. I think I'm a lot more aware of the way I feel, the way I respond to situations, and my abilities, maybe my downsides or what I struggle with when I'm problem solving and that sort of thing, right? And then also with accountability, like schoolwork. It started for me in 2020, so we were online for the first year. And I think university, there is a very big shift, even once you get back to the in person of being self driven, right? As compared to high school, you know, high school, you're going in, you're constantly you got the teachers there, you got all the support around you. And don't get me wrong, those supports are still available in university. But even when you need consistent support or to keep up with class, or if you need support for a more urgent reason, it's you have to be the one to ask for it type of thing. And then even just day to day getting your schoolwork done, getting assignments in on time, you need to make sure you're getting a head start on your papers or whatever you need to hand in, right? There's not going to be someone there remind you, hey, by the way, you got to start your paper now type of thing. And those deadlines, they creep up on you. So
Yeah,
I think those are the big things that help shape me. Yeah,
for sure. So, like, for example, in high school, they might say, "Oh, did you get the homework done from last night?"
yeah.
You're not getting that in uni,
Nothing
eh?
like that. And I mean, when you have a consistent schedule, like reading schedule, and then you have classes that do discussion posts every week, it yeah, you gotta really hone in on it on your own, because end of the semester you're going to get this grade for participation and these little assignments that might only be worth like 0.5%, 1% each, but then at the end of the semester it adds up.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I'd say outside of school, as for shaping me, university has probably helped me appreciate the little things about life more. University's tough. I think there's no way around it. And that might be out of high school the first time you're experiencing all these tough things, these new tough things where you have to handle them on your own. So then outside of that, you really get an appreciation for the other aspects of your life as well. Not to say that you don't appreciate university, right? But
I see.
yeah.
So, like in high school, like, could you give it a difficult rating so maybe the listeners that aren't in university? So, like, if high school's like a 40% difficulty, let's say, for the example, what was like your first year of uni like?
I would say, well, I think the online played into it a bit more, and maybe just my focus on school. I was a lot more focused first year, or maybe the online just worked for me. But I would say it probably jumped to a 60% difficulty, and I found first year my easiest year.
Really?
Yeah. I think years after that, it got harder for me, and it's tough to say, like, whether it was outside influences making it harder for me or it was the actual school itself. Probably it was both of those things.
Yeah, like a combination of both.
Yeah. But I would say there's going to be a jump. I've never met someone who has found, especially by the end of university, that it was easier than high school. I don't. It won't happen.
Yeah.
But it depends a lot on the programs. I think I should preface that my program, I'm justice, political philosophy, and law major at McMaster University. So I'm in the humanities department. That makes a difference from someone who's in STEM or who's, biology, science, or math, or any other department, because university is a completely different thing depending on what your program you're in.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm just speaking from my perspective, what I found in that kind of social studies driven program.
Makes sense, 100%. So my next question for you is, what has been your biggest regret? Like, you just left university. is there anything you could call to your mind, maybe not joining a club, not picking a certain elective, that you maybe regret a little bit, or did you kind of go through it without any regrets?
I would say, in all, like in my experience, I don't regret a lot. But if I were to change one thing, it would be immersing myself in the school environment a bit more, especially in fourth year. After I'd found second and third year very difficult, I kind of, well, really just started going to my classes more. I hate to say,
The honesty's good.
yeah,
though.
yeah. No, I started going to my classes more and participating in my classes, and then you meet people through those classes, and then just the little things about being on campus, going to the library with friends after class, and even if you're not doing your work 100% of the time, right? You're around people, you're on campus with people who are all studying. You're in that kind of environment, which I found very hard when I've been commuting the 4 years. It's about a hour bus ride from where I live, right? And then
Yeah,
if you're not consistently putting yourself in that environment, it becomes very easy to blur your home life and the school life.
I
And
see.
then you lose a lot of focus on the school. And then because you're at home, it's like you could pick up your assignment here and there.
Yeah,
But then I think I found by the end of it is better to just immerse yourself, make school time, and then, home time. And then I found by the end of it, I really realized that. And I'm like, oh, maybe second year, third year, I probably should have been on campus a bit more. Maybe I missed out on opportunities and stuff like that. But that'd be my regret.
yeah. So was it more difficult to learn like when you're at home because like you're on the computer, you might get distracted by a family member or something?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know if it was distraction all the time. Like, you definitely do get distracted, right? You got your family around your house, but
Or yeah, or maybe something you want to do like play some FIFA or something.
that can play into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just you're not like dividing up your day properly when you're at home. Like, if I knew I had a paper to write one day, I would wake up and then it's like I have this whole day to work on this paper, right? But then you're doing it from your bedroom or office or wherever you're working from at home. But then though that's also a place where you read or you hang
Yes.
out or you talk to friends.
Or you
That's
chill,
where
yeah.
you're chilling, exactly. And
Yeah.
then it's like you could get to like a state where you have these days where you can be doing your work, and then it's like, oh, like you just keep putting it off, you keep hanging out doing a little work here and there, and you're just not focused on it. And
Yeah.
you need to separate the two.
For sure.
Yeah,
It's like the library, it's a destination to do work.
exactly.
Your room is a destination to do many things, and
Yeah.
like maybe like schoolwork isn't the main one, right?
Absolutely. Well, we are a product of our environments, right? Whether that be a social thing or the school or work thing wise, right? And that's a big discussion right now with the working remote thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I do think by the end of it, I realized that environment plays a big role.
Yeah. So I guess this is like kind of off topic, but I guess it kind of ties in. Like, what is your opinion on like working remotely? Like, do you think it allows people to be less productive? Or
Yes,
Yeah.
that's for sure. I think people can be a lot less productive. I know there's a lot of people who've out saying they get a lot more done at home because the office gets rid of those distractions for them. Obviously, again, I'll take the cop out. It does depend on the job.
yeah, and I guess the personality of the person.
Absolutely, yeah. But I see both arguments in the sense that when people tell me that they need to go into the office to focus and work at their best, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you do need to be in an environment that promotes that type of thing. That makes sense. And sure, there might be some people in some fields who can work better from home because the office itself is a distraction.
For sure. Yeah. I guess tying it into me, it's not university, but like it's like the gym. Like I know a lot of people that say they can't work out at home because there's too much going on and stuff, right? That's why they like going to the gym because it's kind of an escape from all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Even for intensity wise, right? Like at home, there's no one watching you, right? And then
Yeah.
like you can do a set of a workout and then step away, be on your phone, come back to it type of thing. But you're in the gym. You went there for a reason.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by people who, if you're not really doing anything but working out, you're going to stick out. So if you're susceptible to social pressures,
Exactly.
I think gym definitely plays into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Marin, my next question for you is what advice would you give to someone who's going to university next year and doesn't know what to expect?
Ooh. So again, big time depends. It depends on your program. I can really only speak for myself. I'll give my perspective from the philosophy program.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very easy to be burnt out based on the assignment schedules and the type of assignments you're getting. The one thing I found from philosophy is that a lot of the assignments are the exact same. You're obviously reading renowned philosophical texts, and depending on the course, they'll revolve around a certain subject.
Mm-hmm.
But then the response assignments are very similar in nature. It'll be read the text, summarize a portion that you find important or interesting or that you want to challenge. You have to talk about what you want to challenge and then come up with an objection for or against it. And it does get repetitive like that. You'll have 5 philosophy courses in your transcript in a semester, and then every single one of those classes you're doing that same assignment.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
So there's not a lot of variety.
No, and it's like when you do think about it, and I'm sure the professionals and scholars at these universities have thought about a long time, I would agree that that does make the most sense for the type of program that it is, that you engage in an open-ended and kind of, I don't know, using initiative in a sense in the assignments to pick out what your topic would be. But that even varies from other fields in social science and humanities, whereas a political science course, you might get assigned papers with a couple topics to choose from. And that, honestly, it takes out a lot of the weeding out and thinking ahead of a paper.
So you enjoy that more when you have like the options?
Yeah, I would say so. I think once you reach a point of burnout, yes.
Yeah.
But honestly, like some of my best work has come from stuff that I've been able to really sit on and come up with an idea. And in that sense, it's very rewarding, right? As for general advice I would give for people heading into university and what to expect, I would say it's a lot of my advice is going to sound like repetitive, but you got to stay on top of things. Even when you're ahead, it's very easy in the first few weeks of a semester to realize, look at your assignment schedule. You have nothing to do the next few weeks, so you can really hang out and do what you want. But then later into the semester, you don't have that time to even be thinking of your free time. Like,
yeah.
And there's nothing worse than it piling on. Like, there have been so many points every year that I've been in university where it's the end of the semester, and no matter how much I try and get ahead, it'll get to that point where I'm like, oh, like I've done it again.
Done it again. Same cycle.
Yeah, and then there's gonna be some sad nights at the laptop.
Some overnighters.
Yeah, so there's no such thing as getting too far ahead, and you just, as much as it sucks, it really does suck to really just put your head down and get ahead. Maybe that's another regret of mine from university, not getting ahead more. But honestly, just do it, because the inverse of that, being stuck with a bunch of work at the end of the semester, it is not worth it.
Yeah, too much stress too.
100%.
For sure. All right, my next question for you is, besides your degree, what has been the most valuable part about university? Has it been the people you met, the things you learned, whatever it might be?
Definitely some credence has to be given to the things I learned. I went into university very interested in philosophy, law, and my plan is eventually to continue into law school, right? So I do value a lot what I learned, what I read, and then I've read probably a little bit at least of all the major philosophers that have been talked about for generations. So it's helped me in a personal sense. I'm confident more in my interests there. And then also, I am just more well-read in general, so I'm very thankful for that knowledge. And also with the assignments, as I said, they do get repetitive, but at times that experience can be very rewarding.
Yeah.
But I would say, like you suggested, the relationships and the experiences you have throughout college or university are really what you're going to walk away remembering. Whether that be professional relationships, I've made friends with a lot of my professors or TAs, and that is obviously very beneficial to my future in whatever field I want to go into, which is law, but also could be academia as a backup. But then you make non-professional relationships, right? Like you meet friends in your classes. There's been friends who my first time meeting them was online in first year, and then I walked out the door with them this semester for the last time, and it's like you don't realize that 4 years passes, but it's like 4 years of knowing someone. That's enough time to get to know them a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you just by accident, just by being in the same place at the same time, you make these friends and you find really valuable relationships in there.
For sure. Yeah. No, that's great. So, Marin, how important is it to build your character outside of school, and what would you recommend to people to enhance their character?
So it's absolutely essential, character.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Depending on fields, and people joke a lot about it a lot, that like some fields, like it's just, people are, for lack of a better word, losers. Like they stay in, they're focused on their work all the time. And that is a product of how demanding their program in university is.
Do you think there's a way to avoid it or not really?
Yes, there is. It's all balance.
Yeah.
It's all balance. And it's going to sound, for a lot of STEM majors, engineering majors, really, they're not going to hear it from a guy who studied philosophy.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, there has to be some way to balance it. And no matter what, you got to drive at making it work to at least as much as possible. And I think the thing for building character is you can't really focus on it in a long-term sense. Like, I need to establish myself as this person. It's not a long-term project. Building your character, even though it eventually your character, it does build long-term.
Yeah.
But your character is built, and we've talked about it previously, on what you do every day with your life.
Exactly.
Right? Like the way you spend your days is the way you spend your life, and the people you hang out with, the things that you do and see,
your habits,
and your experiences, that is your character. And you build a character best and most true to yourself when you're not focused on it.
Yes.
But you're not committed to developing a perception about yourself, but committed to succeeding and doing what's best for you personally, I think. And in that sense, it is a daily thing. So in that balance, you have to go out with friends. You have to try new things. You have to make friends in university. And I get that people are introverted, but you have to at least try.
Yeah, like get out of your comfort zone.
Absolutely. And do what feels right for you. Even if you go out with friends, the popular thing in college, you go to the bar, right? But then you find out the bar is not for you. At least you know that.
Yes.
Because there are people who go 4 years at university and stay inside the whole time. And then by the end of it, you have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
And it's tough because you can't really know who you are without finding out who you are, I guess. So these daily habits are very important, and just lean into whatever you're interested in, right?
Yeah.
Like your interests, your hobbies, what gets you up and excited in the morning, that is what you build your life around, and that attracts the people who are going to be there for you long term.
Exactly. And it's even like embracing like the uncomfortable situations.
Absolutely.
Right? Like when I was younger, I didn't really like social gatherings and stuff because I've always been more of like an introverted person.
Yeah.
But now my perception of it is, I'm going to do something that I don't want to do at all because it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I always come out of that thing like better off,
Absolutely.
And I think once you experience that once, it'll be easier for everything that you're scared to try.
Yeah. I mean, even if we like employ some personal philosophical sense about it, like John Stuart Mill talked, he's a popular philosopher from England, and he talked about it in a social sense when you're talking about democracy, that talking about ideas in the public sphere, right? That there's good ideas, there's bad ideas, right ones and wrong ones. And then he talked about the value of these individual things being right and wrong. And then there's a lot of people who say wrong opinions are worthless. But then he said they're actually more valuable than right opinions, because you have to know why something is wrong to know why,
in order
in another sense, why it's right.
Exactly.
And you could absolutely apply that in a personal philosophical sense. You got to know what doesn't work for you to know what does work for you.
For sure. Yeah. Absolutely. That's very well said.
Yeah. Try, man.
So, Marin, what are you most proud about yourself after these 4 years in university? Is it like the fact that you were able to make it through? Was there ever a time where you thought like, maybe I wasn't going to get through this exam season or something like that.
Yeah, every exam season.
It doesn't get better,
No,
right?
it doesn't get better. I think resilience is the big thing. Yeah, I think, and it's a very fresh thing. I mean, I just finished my last exam in 2 weeks ago, and I haven't walked the stage yet at graduation, but I am done. What I would say is getting through the hard parts, schoolwork, is resilience. I'm most proud of. There's a lot of things that happen to you by university that university puts on you, but also while you're in university, a lot of things happen to you and kind of claw you back from succeeding. And I think in that sense, it really teaches you about life. Because we've talked about it. Life, as much as you are in control of a lot of things, some of the bigger things you're really not in control of, right? And
Yeah.
like I've had enough experiences outside of school through these past 4 years to know how much of an effect that they can have on your actual schooling.
Yeah.
And then it's the type of thing where when you have stuff happening in your family or in your life otherwise, your professors don't know about that, right? And
Yeah.
no matter what, they're just getting work from you. And it's your number on a screen.
Exactly.
But I think in that sense, one thing I'm really proud of is being able to be open with my professors and instructors and asking for help where it was necessary. Because that's not easy for a lot of people to do for a lot of reasons. I think one of them is pride in a lot of people. They don't want to ask for help.
Yeah, they don't want to seem weak or...
No, absolutely. Yeah. And they want to be able to get things done on their own. But that's not the only sense of pride and accomplishment you can have. Like being able to know when you need help and when you need extensions or extra support. Absolutely. That is another showing of strength.
Yeah.
Right? To be able to ask for help. And when I did need help from my professors, when I had a lot going on in my life, they were able to grant it to me. And whether it's granted or not, or whether it's the support you want or not, at just that step of going out and asking for it is a sense of accomplishment. And I am proud of that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you were saying, you can kind of control where you want to go, but you can't control how you get there, right?
Exactly.
So that's what I guess people have to consider is like, you may want this degree within 4 years, but like how you're going to get it, the journey that it's going to be, like, you don't know. It's unknown.
Exactly. I mean, I went into university just set that I would go straight through university, keep excelling with my grades, and then go straight into law school the following September. My plans have shifted a bit now. I'm taking at least a year off to recuperate and save up enough money to go to law school, right?
For sure.
But on the way, there's a lot of things that influence that decision. And there's, even with the same things occurring in my life, I could have gone a very different way. And that's where the resilience comes in.
Exactly.
Like, I did stick with it. I didn't take any breaks in school. I went straight first year.
Yeah, no semester off, nothing.
No. And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Of course. Yeah.
But I focused up and I worked hard.
Yeah. There's no way around it for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, your life can change a lot just in general, but throughout university, you'll find that the person you go in as is definitely not the person you come out as, and for better or for worse. But luckily, I'm very proud of a lot of the ways I've come out.
100%. Yeah. So I guess this question ties in with what we were just talking about. It's like when you're going through that self-doubt, like what do you bring to your mind? Like, do you bring to your mind like the end result? Like, hey, I may be struggling now, but I know I'm going to get this degree. I know I'm going to improve myself. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a tough thing because, like you said, there are. It gave me a flashback when you said it. There are points where you're genuinely looking at your screen with whoever big the assignment load you had, and you're like, genuinely, I don't know if I'm going to get this done. Like, you have 3 papers due at midnight. Like, you are scrambling. You're all over the place. You haven't slept. You're feeling sick, and you're like, oh my God. Like,
everything's going wrong.
Everything's going wrong. But I relaxed myself after, because I even had those feelings in high school. Not that I was 100% dedicated in high school, like always at my computer type of thing, but I've always struggled with that kind of academic stress, worrying if I'm going to get stuff in on time, the grades I get. But I kind of relaxed myself with the thought of, no matter what, I've been in situations where I've been so worried about school and getting stuff done. And then a week after that situation, I forget it even happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy to succumb to that kind of pressure. And it's what I talked about before with the you don't want to stack stuff up for the end of the semester and you want to get ahead because trust me, you'll get in those situations where you have no clue what you're doing and you got stuff due at midnight and you're screwed basically, right? But you will pull out of it if you just know how to handle it, I
Yeah.
guess, type of thing.
Like, 'cause in the beginning, you probably didn't know how to handle it,
Not
and
at
maybe the
all.
pressure
Yeah.
got to you too much.
I think the worst I've ever been was first semester exam period.
Yeah, it was your first time doing it.
Absolutely. And even in high school, they stress you out on the exams, but that even university online, they really get you. They know how to do it. As for dealing with the self doubt, I think it goes back to asking for help. Absolutely, you need to ask for help. To share experience which you know about me, my first semester of fourth year, so just this past fall, my mom passed away from cancer, and that happened just before finals. And as any university student will know how terrible of a situation that could be in the first place, but also academic
For sure,
right?
yeah.
And I absolutely leaned on the people around me in general, but academically, I leaned on my friends, my professors, my TAs, instructors. I came to them openly, honestly. I went to my department as well and said, "This is the situation." And I shared a story where it was the night before I had a really big commitment. We were doing a mock trial at a courtroom the next day, and um, I had I was up in my room at my desk and trying to coordinate a meeting with the group I was mentoring. All the while, like my extended family's downstairs and they're praying rosary over my mom, and it's just like, oh my god, what is happening?
Yeah.
But I think maybe that was a turning point where I realized, okay, I absolutely need help to get through this. And as I said, there's no shame in it.
For sure.
There doesn't make you less of a student, less of a person, any less strong. It makes you way stronger to be able to ask for help. So I think the big thing, as for dealing with self doubt, is just ask people to help you.
Yeah, because maybe some people in university are scared and they maybe
Yeah.
don't know how these how the profs or the TAs are gonna
Mhm.
react. So you're saying that they were very supportive
Absolutely.
and very helpful.
There are people there to do their jobs, but they're also very human. They're human. They've been students a lot longer than I have or most kids have. And they study in university for at least 11 years basically to get a PhD, right? And
Yeah.
then they get it.
Yeah.
They've been through that stress.
Exactly. Yeah, they've experienced it as well.
Exactly. And then for dealing with it on your own, I think it's very important to ground yourself in the present and set short-term goals. You really fall under pressure when you're thinking, oh my God, I've got 5 assignments due by the end of the week. But when it's, I really just want to get good progress done on this assignment today, it's a lot less hard on you.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
not looking too far into the future.
Exactly. And even if that future is a couple days ahead, you got to focus on the present, because
Exactly.
if you're just stuck in the future worrying about getting everything in, you're going to work half as fast and you're just going to be stressed. The quality of work is going to be terrible. You're not going to get your best work out there. So you need to set short-term goals and focus on the present. That's how you get out of self-doubt, at least in my experience.
Yeah, no, that's very good. Very
Yeah.
good advice. All right, Marin. So, did you ever have the thought in your mind in high school that you would not go to university? And if you didn't, like, go to university, what do you think you would have pursued?
So out of my family, my mom and her two brothers, they all went to university. So that side was kind of already set the path for us, and they were born in Canada. My father was born back where we're from. He came at a young age, but his father was a bricklayer, and he followed suit, and he was a bricklayer for his life. And um, I think your upbringing definitely influences where you end up. A lot of people, if their dad works trades, they will end up working trades with their dad. But then, for me, I was kind of always geared towards university, even in school. Like from a young age, I excelled in school. I got really good grades consistently. Me and my brothers, we all did. And then so I always had it in my head that I'd go to university. I just didn't know what for. Even by grade 10 in high school, I was still good at math just as well as social studies. So it's like, I don't know where I'm going.
I see.
But
There wasn't one thing that you were like really good at,
not
like over
necessarily.
everything. It was kind of
Yeah.
like everything was good.
Yeah. And then like end of grade 10, maybe grade 11, I started taking a bit more social science courses. I studied law, I studied American history, Canadian history, and I really did find an interest in history. But then my law teacher in high school kind of really sparked my interest in law, I would say, because he made a very committed effort to take us to courtrooms to immerse us in that kind of experience. So I do a lot to him for where I ended up.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the one thing is like a lot more people now than maybe a generation or two ago are going to university. Like out of high school, I would say most people go to university.
Yeah.
At least the way it is here in Canada, right? But then I would say you have these thoughts a lot as a student, like not wanting to recommend university.
Yeah, just because I guess the effort it takes, but
the day to day, yeah,
yeah,
you
but
know.
it's rewarding for sure.
Mhm. But I would say don't go to university just because.
Yeah.
Go with some intention. I know a lot of people who at least from talking to them, but even sometimes picking up on their vibe while they're at university. A lot of people go just to go, just because that's the thing that people do.
It's like the normal thing.
It is, yeah. And I think don't just go to university just because all your friends are, and then just pick whatever major you can get into type of thing, even though it doesn't interest you. Go for a reason.
Yeah.
Even if you change that reason, it's fine. Like I probably like law, or I'll definitely philosophy a little bit less than when I got into school.
Yeah.
But I still do enjoy it, and that's kind of made certain to me that that is what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people, they'll go to university just because, and it's a lot of money, and in a lot of cases you might not be paying for yourself. Maybe your parents are helping you, maybe you have student loans helping you, and then it's like, as much as I think we're, at least where we were raised, a lot of people are surrounded by good families where they're happy to support their kids no matter what. You got to realize it is a lot of money, and you don't want to be willfully wasting the money and your time as well.
Exactly.
Just you could go into just as anything in life, go into it with intention.
Yeah, with a purpose, not just to do it.
Absolutely. And that way, by the end of it, you have something to be really proud of.
Exactly. I feel like some people say, "Oh, you don't need to think about stuff too deeply." Like I'm the type of person where I think about everything too deeply,
Absolutely.
and I think I'd rather be like that than not think enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get what you mean. Like maybe overthinking is something we both suffer from.
Yeah.
Whether that be like socially or academically, anything. But you just gotta, like, we are, at least me now, I'm gonna graduate, but I'm turning 22 this year. I've talked about it with you. It felt like yesterday I was 16.
Yeah.
Adulthood comes at you fast, and especially with stuff that happens outside of school. When you go to university, it really kind of hunkers you down for 4 years, and then once you come out of it, it's like, whoa, I got the whole world before me. But I'm an adult. Like, I'm not really a kid anymore.
Exactly.
But it's like you want to come out with some direction from that.
For sure.
And at least to develop a good work ethic, I think is important. But also to have some type of purpose for what you want to put into the work that you do.
Yeah.
Once you settle down in a career, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. I guess that's enough of the university. Gave a lot of great insights on that. So, Marin, knowing you for a while now, you're one of the most confident people I know. Like when you go into a social setting, whatever, you're like the life of the party. So, how would you recommend people who are struggling with their self confidence get more confident?
Ooh. It's a very basic answer, but I'll explain it. It really does rely on being yourself. I think everyone should really have a mindset of letting people inspire you. Now, your friends are your inspiration. We talked about environments, how your environment plays into the person that you are and the work you produce. But that operates consistently in a social setting, right? Like the people you surround yourself with, in a lot of ways, you are a product of them, right? And you take pieces from everyone, and that molds the person that you are. One thing that I'm very grateful for from university are the relationships that I've built, and also the relationships I've kind of like hardened, strengthened through university. Me and you, I knew you before I went into university, and I still know you now. But even through all the academic stress, everything, I bettered my relationship with you, and my relationship with you, just as all of my friends, I've taken parts of these people who I hold close to me, the parts I really admire, and I try to mold myself into those kind of things. Like I've always known you to have confidence, to have drive, and to be determined. And I did think about that a lot um, while I was in school and also social situations in the past 4 years. I have friends who have been through incredible emotional stress, distress, and I've taken their courage to get through those type of things to help me through my own things.
Yeah.
And then even as for interests, I've seen people who are so inspired by what they're interested in, whether it be music, movies, even hanging out with friends, going to the bars in the social setting, right? Like you want to to be yourself and to be confident. You want to be the you want to take these parts that you admire from the people around you, but you don't want to copy
Yes.
or mold yourself into a specific model
Yeah.
because it's really hard because you hear it all the time, be yourself, at least me from my experience, but you don't really clock what that means to be yourself.
Exactly.
And no matter what, these people around you, they're being themselves just as much. So you got to take inspiration from the people you have around you, but be your own person, you know?
Yeah.
Like find out what makes you you, and that's how you better yourself. And again, I think it's just like confidence. It's not and habits in general. It's not a long term thing. It does build in the long term, but you got to focus day to day on just doing what you want, whether it be habits, interests. The stuff that you do is going to make you who you are, and I think it's very easy and it's very common for people our age to not know who they are and really stress about it. But it can't be something that you stress about in the big picture. Just you. The only thing you should be stressed about is living your day the way you want it to be.
Exactly. Not letting the day slip away from you.
Yeah. And I think you also build confidence by what you put into relationships. The friends that I've made, like the friendships I mentioned that I've made in university or that I've strengthened throughout university, um, I gain a lot of confidence by seeing the relationship just in an objective sense that I have with a person. It's such an amazing thing to know that you can know someone. I've had friends for my entire life, from birth, and it's just kind of like to know how intricate and storied that relationship is and what you've really built something in a relationship, right? And that gives me confidence to know, wow, like I have the ability to make a profound impact on someone's life and equally them to me. And, it is inspiring in a sense. And that gives me the confidence to go out there and kind of just do more and put that same kind of focus and passion, I guess, into the work that I eventually produce. And that projects confidence.
Exactly. And I think even with confidence, a lot of people, you could just see them like radiating confidence is when they're like passionate about something.
Absolutely.
Like you for movies, like when you talk about movies and like I could just see the passion within your voice when it comes to like just the intricacies of it.
Absolutely.
Like that alone just like gives you that like confidence.
Absolutely. And you gotta have an eye for that type of thing, right? And if you get in your head worrying big picture of who am I, how can I be confident?
How are people perceiving
How
me?
are people perceiving me, right? You're never going to be confident. You got to focus on the passion, on the product, on the people around you, and put yourself entirely into the friendships, the relationships, and the experiences that you have. You don't have to worry about confidence because it will come to you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
100%. All right, Marin, the last question, I ask every guest this question. Marin, how do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered?
If it's within your social like circles, your family, if you were to leave a big impact on thousands of people, how do you want you to be perceived as?
Well, me and you have talked about this. I think the most important thing to me is that's such a tough question.
I know, and this is the thing. It's like you could take your time to answer. Like
Yeah.
anyone I've ever asked about it, it takes them like a second or a minute. So it's okay, man.
Mhm. Holy.
It's a hard one because I feel like a lot of people don't think about that because
No.
we don't even have time to kind of think about something like that.
Well, you think about like the question, like what do you want to do or accomplish in your life, but how do you want to be remembered? It's different.
Yeah,
You know? Like
exactly.
what will my lasting memory be?
Because no matter what work you put into the world or what you do for other people, like you being remembered is like how they are perceiving you.
Mhm.
You could be like the best person, the nicest person, whatever within yourself, but maybe you're not being perceived in that kind of light.
Yeah. I think in that sense, the only people I really care to be remembered by, I think, are the people that I have and will build long lasting relationships with. There's a lot of people who, and it is a product of ambition, and give them their flowers, that they want to do profound things for the world and be remembered by as many people as possible.
Yeah, it's not so
Right.
much what they did, but as many.
Exactly. And I mean, the Unabomber did that, right? But
Yeah.
you know, like for different reasons, right? Like
Exactly.
it's the content of what you do that is most important. And I think even if I'm remembered by only a few people by the time I die for being um a person that was there for them, I think is most important. Like,
Yeah.
because that's really what trust and passion and love in a relationship is. Someone being there for you thick and thin and for a long period of time in the midst of many changes through their life and yours. That's most important in life. It doesn't matter how many people you impact, but for me to be remembered by those who I cherish, my friends, my family, my colleagues, as my career progresses, as long as I can be remembered as someone who cared and put an extensive amount of effort into a relationship, then I'm
Yeah,
into any relationship that I have for a long time.
and you left an impact on them.
Absolutely. And I'd hope that you, as well as all my other friends and family, you know, when it comes to that time, you'll still be around and it won't just be a matter of reflection on decades ago of a friendship you once had, right?
Yeah.
You want to keep these relationships, you know, consistent, and I have no doubt that I will, just because of how strong our relationship is and all of our friends' relationships are. Um, and that's really what it is. You build these things for so long that you just want to hold on to it forever.
Exactly.
And that's, I think, through everything, through the tough times I've been in through life, no matter how much I go to school, no matter how many different things I experience, it's always a thing that I'll come back to. The people around you, that's your life.
Yeah.
That's your life.
For sure, it's life lasting. Like the materialistic stuff, the money, the accolades, whatever, that doesn't matter.
It's nothing. I mean, you worry about money, you worry about all these superficial things day to day, but at the end of the day, who's gonna be there? You know, like
Yeah,
come your time to go, like you want to leave a lasting memory on the people that you love and in substantial ways. And I think that's important. So when I say put yourself entirely into the relationships that you have, I really mean it, because also too, like I mentioned with my mom and a lot of changes in my family, you don't know how much time you have with a person, but also
exactly.
where your life's going to take you.
Yeah.
You know? So change happens all the time. So just dedicate yourself on a daily basis into the people you care about most.
For sure. Very well said. All right, guys, we're going to close it out there. Always a pleasure talking to Marin. I don't know about you guys, but every time I speak to Marin, I come out of it learning something and feeling better. So I appreciate you coming on, Marin.
Absolutely.
For
Always
sure.
a pleasure.
100%. If you guys enjoyed the video, like it, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Spotify. And Marin, any last quick words before we close
Keep
out?
supporting the channel. Anthony's doing something really good here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother.
All right, everybody, take care.